What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today.
So this is a video I've been wanting to do for quite some time now. And I just want to talk about Kobe Bean Bryant's, may he rest in peace, performance in the 2004 NBA Finals against one of the greatest defensive teams of all time, arguably the best, Detroit Pistons. Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed, Ben, etc. Definitely the worst playoff performance I've ever seen from Kobe Bryant. And I might even say the worst playoff performance I've seen from a player of caliber, Kobe Bryant. I couldn't believe what I was watching that series. It hurt my soul. But I keep it 100 on this channel with everybody. 100. Don't matter if you're my favorite player. Don't matter if you're my least favorite player. I speak the truth all the time. Now, before Kobe passed away, him and Shaq got together for an interview. I've reacted to that interview right here on this channel. And Shaq and Kobe briefly talked about the 2004 NBA Finals. Take a look at this.
On the Pistons thing, that's my fault because I didn't get us prepared to run our automatics. I didn't get Gary, I didn't get Carl, I didn't get the new guys on board enough to be able to execute properly. And we got to Detroit and it forced us to play our offense 94 feet and we weren't ready. And we couldn't do it and everything just capitulated from there. And that sits with me. That sits with me because we should have won that.
Easily.
Yep.
Ben Wallace guarded me.
That's ridiculous. See, what they did, the whole strategy was move the pressure up.
Yeah.
If you move the pressure up, it takes away Shaquille as a threat because now they have to harbor the ball up the court with pressure on the perimeter. So now that forces Shaq up. So now if he has to catch the ball at the top of the key for our automatics, he's not in the paint. Now that takes up all the seconds, all the time in the world to be able to trap him. Now you got to swing it. Now you're running late on clock. You got to force up a shot. And that was their whole plan.
Now, Kobe isn't wrong there, but I don't think that's 100% of the truth. I don't think that that's the only reason or necessarily the main reason why the Lakers lost that series. And Shaq wasn't even being honest, because I know what Shaq wanted to say. Shaq wanted to say, nah, that one's on you, Kobe. That one's on you. But he ain't say that. So I don't think either one of them was keeping it 100 in that interview, if I'm going to be honest. So in that interview, when Kobe's talking, Kobe mentions the automatics. He didn't have the team set and prepared for the team's automatics. So if you don't know what automatics are, they're just basically like principles or rules to help bolster a team's offense in very specific situations. It helps create kind of a hive mindset for a team. You know, basically everyone knows exactly what the action is without having to communicate with one another, which is really a huge advantage when executing offense on so many levels, especially playing a triangle offense, which is an offense that already harbors similarities already. So while that might have something to do with it, and everything Kobe said there was true if you watch that series. It may have something to do with it. Also, D-Fish, Karl Malone was injured as well. Either way, in my personal opinion, that isn't the main reason. Sorry, Kobe, my favorite player of all time. May you rest in peace. But my personal opinion, we would have had a better chance had you not played so poorly offensively. Offensively, Kobe Bryant was atrocious. for the entire series, save Game 2, which was the only good game he had, which was the only game the Lakers won. And it still took Kobe forcing a three-point shot in overtime, or forcing a three-point shot in regulation, to bring it into overtime over Rip Hamilton to win the game. Other Lakers played bad as well. And you could even argue that Gary Payton was the worst player on the team for that series. But this one ain't on Gary. Gary was old. So was Karl Malone. So when people try to say it was a super team, I'm like, that wasn't nowhere near prime GP or prime Karl Malone. Shaq and Kobe were the big dogs. So the burden of responsibility goes on them, especially when one or two, given a scenario, aren't performing well. For that series, Kobe averaged 22.5 points per game, 4.5 assists, and under 3 rebounds. Shooting 38% from the field, shooting 17% from three-point land. And I promise you, as horrible as those numbers sound, I promise you, it was even worse to watch and stomach it all. As a die-hard Laker and Kobe Bryant fan, I couldn't stomach it. I couldn't. We got to call it what it is, man. It wasn't even like Kobe was taking 35 shots a game or anything like that. See, that seems to be the narrative. That wasn't the case. His volume was fine. You know, anywhere between 15 to 27 shots up. The volume was fine. He just wasn't putting the ball in the basket. Kobe had the mentality. At which point he stopped shooting, he has already defeated himself. Because he always believed that the next shot was going in. And that's fine. It's great confidence. And when it works out, glorious. But when it doesn't work, well, the reality of the situation is you shot your team out of the basketball game or helped shoot your team out of the basketball game, especially if you're a volume shooter like Kobe Bryant was. Especially when there were better options for offense. Shaq, though being limited in some capacity for that series, was still unstoppable. Despite the efforts Wallace and the team played on Shaq, pushing him further away from the basket. Shaquille O'Neal averaged over 26.5 points per game, damn near 11 rebounds, on 63% field goal shooting. In Game 4, Shaq had 36 points and 20 rebounds. Offensively, he was solid. Defensively, not so much. I remember him looking pretty lazy on defense for most of that series. Wasn't sure if it was effort or wasn't sure if it was just him declining. But with that being said, Detroit still played Shaq pretty well because, like Kobe said, they were forcing him farther from the basket upon entry. Shaq only took about 17 field goal attempts in that series. 17 field goal attempts. Compared to all the field goal attempts Kobe was taking. Keep feeding the big man. Shaq might not be the advantage in every series, or as much of the advantage in every series, but in this final series, he absolutely was. And it was partially Kobe's job to make sure the big fella kept getting fed well, especially given the results. How can you take so many more shots than the Diesel with no results when clearly Shaq is thriving and the other players around him will thrive more based on the attention and the dominance of Shaquille O'Neal? It only opens up the offense. And to be fair, Detroit did a great job at blocking passing lanes to Shaquille O'Neal to prevent entry passes to Shaq. But there are always countermeasures, and Kobe Bryant is great enough to figure that out and execute it. This was against arguably, like I said earlier, the greatest defensive team in the history of the league. A defense that was giving Kobe Bean Bryant fits. Sure, he may have had some fatigue with the amount of defensive effort he was given, especially chasing Rip Hamilton around the damn court, all those screens and curls, and Tayshaun Prince's length and mobility was also giving Kobe fits. Absolute fits. I remember that. On top of that, the Pistons were frequently doubling Kobe and trapping him from the beginning, from the jump. And Kobe did play off ball quite a bit, which isn't out the norm for Kobe, especially in the triangle offense, but probably more often than usual. And Kobe was trying to get the shots up before the double team could come, whether good or bad, which isn't smart basketball, especially if the buckets ain't dropping. Basketball can be a very simple sport. Sometimes people just make it more difficult than it has to be. Basketball is a simple sport. It's all good when the shots are falling. But you got to take the heat when they're not. And contrary to popular belief with this series, with all the shots he was missing, a lot of people say he was just forcing a lot of bad shots or horrendous shot selections. No, not so much that series. Now, I went back and watched the tape to jog my memory. The shots just weren't going in. But credit to the defense, and Kobe wasn't hitting. He has to make the bucket. These were normal shots that Kobe Bryant regularly hits, for the most part. As great as Kobe was then, you could tell his offense hadn't quite peaked yet, in hindsight, like it would 2 years later in his phenomenal 2005-2006 campaign. He made sure to hone his skills after that series, so he would never have such an outing and be so limited again. That's saying a lot considering how skilled he already was. But that Pistons team was an incredible defensive force. On the season, they only allowed 84 points per game. I remember a game against the Indiana Pacers. I think it was that playoff. During that playoff run, they had like 19 or 20 blocks. Yeah, like 19 or 20 blocks against the Indiana Pacers. In a game. In a single game. I would also like to point out that defensively, Kobe Bryant was brilliant in that series. I can't leave that out, but it is what it is. This series, honestly, still haunts me to this day because I feel like had we made some better decisions, executed things differently, Kobe stepping up, not being complete and utter doo-doo and trash, maybe we would have had a shot at winning that series. And I won't even use injury as an excuse. I rarely, ever do that. Rarely. And in a different universe or something, I wish we could run this one back. I wish I had a time machine. Yeah, there's a little bit of blame to go around to everybody, of course, but I would definitely point the big finger at Kobe Bryant in this series. I gotta keep it 100, man. This series, of all the series the Lakers lost, of all the championship series the Lakers lost during Kobe's run, so what? 2 lost to Detroit Pistons. Why is Siri on? Stop it, Siri. Lost to the Detroit Pistons. Lost to the Boston Celtics. I think if we could run that one back against the Pistons and do things differently, we would have a chance. Against the 2008 Celtics, without Andrew Bynum, I don't think. No. The rest of the players, they just weren't mentally tough yet. And we didn't have Bynum. So, that one, it is what it is. Nobody could have higher expectations for Kobe than the ones he had on himself. There was no harsher critic of his game than himself. That's how he was cut. Anyway, y'all let me know what you think about it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you remember this series? Sound off in the comment section. I would love to hear your opinion. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. And I'll catch you on the next one. We out, baby.